Now, great performance from Teofimo Lopez this past Saturday against Richard Comey. Brilliant, brilliant knockout. Were you expecting that? Because on paper, this was a 50-50 fight. It was supposed to be a tough fight for both fighters, and obviously it wasn't a tough fight for Teofimo Lopez.
No, we thought that the fight would go, much longer. We thought that we hoped that Teofimo were worried about whether Teofimo stand up to Comey's punching power. But one analysis that the father had made right early on before the fight, after he watched Comey's fight with Beltran, and our matchmakers agreed to, is that Comey, while he has a powerful right hand, throws more muscle. Teofimo's right hand power punch is straight. So, if you do the geometry of it, the straight right hand is going to land before the circular right hand.
I got you.
So that gave us the confidence going into the fight. But did I expect this kind of result the way it happened? The answer is no.
Now, Lomachenko mentioned that he would fight Teofimo in April. Is that confirmed, or is that something you're still working on?
No, the fight is going to happen. The exact month and date, that's up in the air. We're working on that. But we're obviously working hard. Everybody wants us. These are both my fighters. Each guy wants to fight. And so that's easy. Once the fighters want to fight, it's easy for the promoter to put it together. And that's what we're doing now. And hopefully we'll be able to announce a date at a place sometime early in the next year.
So it's safe to say that will be the next fight for both men, then?
That is correct.
Okay. Now let's talk about Terence Crawford. That was a good fight for Terence Crawford. He finished that fight in emphatic fashion, but he had a rough spot maybe in the second, third round. Kavaluskas seemed to overachieve a little bit there. Were you surprised at Kavaluskas' performance, and how would you grade Terence's performance in that fight? Because
I think you have to understand, Kavaluskas, who a lot of people hadn't heard of, is an elite fighter, very elite. We knew that. He's done all those fights with us professionally. These Eastern European guys are really extraordinarily well schooled, and it doesn't surprise me that Terence struggled with the guy. But Terence is a superior talent, and knows how to deal with adversity. But I always said, and Terence realized that this was a very, very tough fight going in. These Eastern European guys, you can't underrate them. They're extraordinarily well prepared.
now I know Sean Porter was mentioned as a potential opponent for Terence Crawford, and Sean came back and said that the fight will be made when him and Terence actually talk it out. But that's kind of...
He's absolutely correct.
Okay.
He is absolutely correct. I mean, I can talk about making fights want blue in the face, but essentially what it requires, and it's appropriate, is that the fighters want to do the fight. They're the ones that are fighting. So, what Porter said is completely correct, that fight will happen once the fighters get together and agree that they want to fight each other. So, I'm sitting back and waiting good developments. And I would love to make that fight. But again, as Porter says, it'll only happen when the two fighters sit down and agree that's the fight they want.
Now, is that something that you would hope that you could possibly make next for Terrence, or are you looking at other avenues down the road, other options?
Well, again, it's what Porter said. First thing has to happen, they have to sit down and talk and decide if they want that as their next fight.
So you'll basically,
if first they want to fight each other, and then if they want it as the next fight.
So you'll basically,
and again, if that's what they want, that's what I'll do.
Okay, so you'll
because obviously, if Porter and Crawford fight, it would be a promotion with PBC.
I got you. Now let's talk about Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, because from what I'm hearing, and I just want you to confirm this, these two gentlemen have 2 fights lined up next year. So I'm assuming, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that means that there's a rematch clause on both sides. And so no matter who wins,
there is a sort of rematch clause, but I let the fighters talk about it. It's not a guaranteed rematch.
Okay.
And I don't want to go into details because a lot of it is confidential.
I understand.
But is there a possibility that there'll be a rematch? Yeah. Is it assured? The answer is no.
Okay, so basically, just the first fight is definite,
correct.
And the second fight is
that is correct. That is correct.
Thank you so much for clarifying, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I know obviously a lot of it is just hearsay on potential happening.
Absolutely, but that's okay. That always is the case.
Well, at least they're talking about the fighters, Bob. So that's a good thing, right?
Correct. That is correct. That is right.
Okay, so
that's an improvement.
Awesome. So it looks like Errol Spence. We don't know what's going to happen with him next. So that fight could be possibly put on the back burner. And I know you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wrong to talk about Spence now. Well, we don't know what his physical condition really is. The fact that he hasn't surfaced.
Okay.
If he, in my opinion, I could be very wrong. In my opinion, for every appearance, they hold a press conference. Well, wishes, I'm going to be ready to go. Well, we haven't seen that yet.
Yes, we
tell you. That tells me that he's not ready to go yet.
Yeah.
Or whether he will ever be ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a nice man. I wish him well, but who the hell knows?
I understand, because not much information's been coming out, and if
so, isn't that? I mean, aren't you as a journalist and this off the ring? The journalist who listens, how come he hasn't, held a press conference or anything, unless something is seriously wrong?
Yeah. I'm in full agreement with you, Bob, because I haven't heard anything, and if I haven't heard anything, then that I would have heard something if everything was okay.
Usually, if he was fine.
100%, I'm in agreement with you. I am in agreement with you. Now,
wrong, I hope that.
Yeah.
That, but for me, I have to be logical.
Yeah, and that is the logical thing to do, is just to sit back and just wait to hear from that side.
Absolutely.
I agree 100%. So one last question I have for you. So obviously you've been talking to Al Hammond and the PBC side, because you've been putting together the Wilder fight. I'm not going to ask you.
We're working with them on a daily basis.
Okay, that was my next question.
On this big heavyweight fight.
So I'm not going to ask you for in-depth details, but what I am going to ask you is, are you talking to that side in regards to other fights? And I'm obviously not going to ask you for the fights, because I know you want to keep that under wraps until these fights would be definitely signed. But have you talked to that side in regards to other potential matchups down the road? I know you've mentioned that you have, but I wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, we have discussed various matches. Obviously, we're all consumed now with making the big fight a success. But, we're certainly talking because we're working together and we're boxing people, and boxing people like to talk boxing. So the answer is, of course, we're talking about, other matches, other fights, and so forth. Whether that'll come to fruition, remains to be seen. I mean, there's nothing been agreed to, but obviously, now that we're doing this fight, it's logical that we would be discussing the possibility of other fights.
Okay. Now, I said that was the last question, but I actually remember I have one more for you in regards to the Kubrat Pulev Anthony Joshua potential matchup. I have to ask you this.
Well, that's not what Heyman.
I'm sorry?
That's not what Heyman did. I mean, PBC has nothing to do with it.
No. I wanted to switch gears on that. I wanted to switch gears. I'm well aware of that. I just wanted to switch gears. Now, we all saw Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz. I have to ask you, if that version of Anthony Joshua shows up against Kubrat Pulev, how would that fight play out? Because he fought...
Pulev would chase him out of the ring.
Okay.
Pulev wouldn't come in, so forth, that he could follow up. The real problem with Andy was that he was so out of shape that Joshua was able to run rings around him and not engage in a meaningful fight and just stand outside and not box. Pulev, who will come in tip-top shape and is a brawler, he's going to make Joshua fight.
Okay. And you're expecting Pulev to knock Joshua out? Was that your prediction if they fought?
I think that, who knows, knock him out, so forth. I think there's a reasonable possibility that he will knock him out. Okay. Because I think Joshua is a suspect, and I think Pulev is a real serious brawler, takes a good punch. Career is going very, very well, and I think he has the tools to beat Joshua. But that's why they do the fight.
Okay. Now, is a lot of people are expecting that fight to be next. Have you heard anything? Should we expect that fight will be next, or should we have to sit back and wait on that?
Well, that fight will be next, because Joshua, to his credit, doesn't want to lose the titles. And the IBF, everybody concedes, was first out of the gate, bordering the mandatory even before the Joshua Ruiz second fight.
Okay.
So everybody's on the same page, manager of Usyk and everything. Obviously, the winner of Joshua and Pulev has to commit to fight Usyk for the as the WBO mandatory. There's no question about that.
Okay. Well, Bob, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much, as always, for the time, and I'm looking forward to the fights. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well. Take care.